morning, y'all. Hope everyone's doing great. So I'm going to attempt to make a beginner's walkthrough for the UO Alive server, a guide for someone who's maybe brand new or hasn't played in years and just doesn't even know where to begin. Ultima Online is such a sandbox game that it can be a little overwhelming because there's so much to do. So I thought I would just do a little guide for covering your first hours. I'm not going to cover installation because the website does a great job of that. But I do recommend you go ahead and do the all-in-one launcher. That will give you the classic client, which is recommended, the classic UO launch assistant, which gives you higher resolutions and a smoother gaming experience, and then Razor Enhanced, which just gives you some great tools. So let's jump in. So here we are at character creation. So I'm going to go female. You can go elf or gargoyle, but I'm going to go human just as a good all-around starting character. Let's do some pigtails and some red hair. Trillium the Red. There we go. Definitely start as a paladin if it's your first character. You can always customize your character. You can make up to 7 characters per account. You can have up to 3 accounts, and you can also have 1 house per account, so that's 3 houses total. Definitely start in New Haven. Trillium the Red. Okay, so first let's sort our UI. I like to put the little chat box down there, click and drag this and adjust it as you want. Here's our character, and to bring up our health bars, click and drag. Now I've got a health bar, double click it, I've got my stat box. On the stat box, this little blue button, click that, and it gives me a buff bar. It's very handy. We want the buff bar up. Okay, now let's look at a few of our options. These are just some things I like to do. I like auto open doors. I like auto open corpses, skip empty corpses. And on the options, I'd select both. What that means is it's going to open both the old container and also the new UI container, because sometimes it can be a little buggy, so having both open is good. I like to show HP as a line, and only if I'm damaged. If I'm less than 100%, then I'll have a little bitty health bar come up under my character. I like to do that. I like to enable pathfinding. What that does is I can double right click somewhere to find a path to it. I like to use the custom health bar gumps. I also like this, enable drag select to open health bars, but if you enable this, let's hit apply to enable all that, and then click and drag, you're going to get all these health bars. To close them, you would have to right click each one, unless you make a quick macro called close health bars. Maybe have escape as the key. Scroll all the way down, close all health bars, apply. There, now when I hit escape, all those health bars close. Very handy. So where were we? Combat. Hold tab key for combat. I don't want that. I want it to be a toggle. I like single click UI buttons, so I don't have to double click my UI buttons. I like show above duration. It's good. Apply on those. On counters, I like to enable counters, and it kind of gives you a little hot bar. Let's do 2 rows and 12 columns. And that gives us this little handy thing right here, and you can put reagents on it to see how many you have. Let's open our... You can put your gold on it to see how much gold you have. You could put a dagger or butcher knife on it to quickly access it for skinning animals. I like the info bar, especially as a paladin, because what that gives you is this bar right here that is customizable. Like I can add tithe points to it, which are important to know for a paladin. Okay, add item, tithe. Scroll down to find tithing points, apply. So now here at the end I've got my tithing points, which are 0 right now. Okay, On containers, I definitely like to make my containers bigger. This is too small for me. I like it a little bigger. Not that big. Let's not just go crazy. So that's good. I like use large container gump. I like double click to loot items inside containers. Apply. And I think we're good here. Let's look at our skills. Here we have our skill box. I'm going to make it bigger here. Since I'm a paladin, some skills I already have. Swordsmanship and tactics I already have to 30. I have chivalry to 30. Chivalry is like the paladin skill. You start with the chivalry book. We'll go over that in a minute. So what I like to do is I want to make a new group. Click on it and name it Paladin. And now, under that group, I'm going to click and drag all the skills I want to raise as a paladin. So swords, tactics, focus. Some skills raise automatically, like meditation, so I'm going to turn that down. Also resisting spells, I'm going to turn that down. I don't want that on this character. We also definitely want healing. And if you have healing, you want anatomy and parry, so we can have a shield. So I think these are the 7 skills I'm going to focus on. You can have each one of these raised to 100, and then you can get power scrolls to raise them to 105, 110, or 120. I think you can have 720 skill points total, so that lets you raise each one of these to 100 with 20 points to play around with. These are highly customizable. You can at any time lower or raise your skills or lock them. That's important. Some skills you'll want to lock. Like I think we might want to lock chivalry at 85. So you can't mess up your character. I mean, it's really, skills raise quickly on this server, and so it's fun to experiment and create new builds and try new things. Maybe I'd want to get rid of focus and pick up something different like Bushido, or get rid of pairing and pick up spell weaving. So you can experiment down the line, but let's just keep it simple for our first character. Now on this server there are several free skills. They're mainly the gathering skills like fishing, tracking, mining, lumberjacking. Those are free. The crafting skills like tailoring and tinkering and blacksmithing are not free. However, bowcraft fletching is, just to make it easier for archers to get arrows, and also cooking is a free skill. So you can have a lot of fun messing around with those. And I highly recommend that you raise hiding. It's a free skill. Stealth is not a free skill, and stealing is not, but hiding is, and it's a great way to break aggro and get away from something chasing you. So it's free, raise it. And when I say by free, what I mean is it doesn't count towards the 720 skill cap. I think it will still show this raising, like this might show over, but I think when you click on show real, it won't. So I'm going to make a new group called free skills. Alright, so here's your list of free skills that do not count towards the 720 cap. I went ahead and moved hiding down there just to have a complete list. Some free skills I would definitely recommend are hiding, and go ahead and pick up cartography, remove trap, and lockpicking so you can do treasure maps. Some other useful ones are like camping, that lets you log out in the world if you have a bedroll. And usually when you log out, if you don't log out in an inn or your house, your character is going to stay in the world for about 5 minutes and it can be attacked and killed. So, okay, now that we have our list of skills for Paladin, we're going to pick up the new player quests for all of these skills. And then we can go to Old Haven and raise them to 50 because we get a skill gain increase as long as we're fighting in Old Haven up to 50. So let's pick up parry. Let's pick up... Okay, I think this is a good time to make the all names macro. If you press Control Shift, you can see their names, but if you use all names, you'll see that complete title, like the Swordsmanship Instructor. So let's go to Options, Macros, New Macro, All Names. Alt-W, just because that was my old school hotkey. In the old days, you had to press Enter. You couldn't press Enter to chat, so I would do Alt everything for hotkeys. So let's do all names. Apply. Now when I press Alt-W, I can see their full name. Another option we should have set is under Speech, Active Chat when pressing Enter, because just like I said, without that checked, you don't have to press Enter to chat. And personal preference, I like to press Enter to chat so that my chat screen doesn't fill up with 1s and W's. Okay, let's continue picking up these quests. Did we get that one? No. Yes. Now Alt-W, I can see I need Tactics. I need Chivalry. He's in here upstairs. Chivalry. So we need 3 more. Anatomy, Healing, Focus. Using Alt-W. Using all names. And the healer is behind this new player dungeon, which we're not going to go into quite yet. We're going to do these quests in Old Haven first. Anatomy and Healing. Okay. So we're almost ready to go adventure. But before we do, there's a couple other things that we need. One of them is tithing points for our paladin spells. I can only tithe from the bank, so this 1,000 gold that I have on me, I would want to put in the bank. But first, I think there's a couple skills I want to train first. Like healing is 0, so I can train that up to like 30 or 40. I think that would be an important one to go ahead and try to buy into. It's not as easy to raise at the beginning as the others. So I'm going to single click the healing instructor, train healing, 400, and click and drag the gold on top of him. So now my healing is 40. I guess let's talk about these skills down here in your attributes bar. I have strength, dexterity, and intelligence, and they are raising just like as I use skills and run around, these are going to raise. See, I'm using stamina as I run. So my focus regenerates stamina. So my focus is being used to regenerate my stamina, so it's going up. So if I didn't want to raise focus, I'd want to turn that to a down arrow or lock it at 0. So it's already almost 50. It might be 50 before we leave here. Okay, where was I? Yep, there went focus. I need some gold to buy a shield to raise parry. You can't raise parry without a shield. So let's go ahead and buy a cheap shield. A little buckler, just to raise that parry skill. Okay, now I think I'm ready to put the rest of my gold in the bank so I can tithe it. When you buy from vendors in the game, NPC vendors or players vendors, it uses money that's in your bank. So let's cover the banker real quick. I come into the bank and I can type bank and open my bank box. I'm going to click and drag my gold into it, and it disappeared. Where'd it go? Well, it's account shared, so every player on this account now has access to that gold that I just put in on this account only, not all 3 accounts. To see my gold, I can type bracket wallet, and I can see all my different currencies, sovereigns, Bitcoin, gold, or I can just single click the banker and open bank box, and here I can also see it. So if this is your first character, you're going to have that 550 gold or whatever that I just put in. So I'm going to act as if I only have 550 gold for this tutorial. So a couple skills that we have, we need to tie some points, and then also to raise healing, I'm going to need bandages. So let's also go spend a little bit of gold at the tailor and buy a bolt of cloth and some scissors. I can also show you where to get some free cloth for bandages, and I'll do that later. But for now, let's just get started. going to use the scissors on the bolt of cloth. And now I have 50 clean bandages. And I'm going to put it in my little bar here. And I'm also going to set up another simple macro. Go to macros, new macro, bandage self. And I'm going to set it to number 1. Very important. Scroll all the way down. Bandage self. Apply. Now when I click number 1, it will automatically try to use this bandage if I'm damaged. If I want to bandage someone else, I can click it on my counter bar and target them. Okay, so I'm ready to use healing. Now let's tithe that gold so we're ready to use chivalry. To tithe, let's go back into the temple where that Ankh is. I'm going to single click the Ankh, tithe gold, and I think at this time you'd have about 400 gold left in the bank, so we're just going to tithe 400. So now it shows my tithe points here on this little bar, 400. So that's not going to last me very long, but I think it'll get me started and let me get enough gold to where I can tithe some more. Are we ready to go adventure? I think we are. We've got our bandages, we've got our tithing points, we've got a sword and a shield. Let's add our chivalry spells to our UI. So I'm opening my book, and you can click and drag, so it makes a little cool hotbar here. Chivalry has some extremely useful spells like Sacred Journey. This lets you teleport around from rune books and from runes. Noble Sacrifice brings another character back to life. You have Closed Wounds, which is an extra heal. Often when you're in a tough fight, you're going to be using that along with constant bandaging. Cleanse by Fire removes poison, but also damages you a little bit. When you get your healing up high enough, that your bandages will also heal poison. So the main skills we're going to focus on right now are going to be Consecrate Weapon and Divine Fury. So I'm going to go ahead and make a macro for them real quick. Cons Wep, I like that at F7. So cast spell, got to scroll down for the Paladin skills. Consecrate Weapon, apply. And one for Divine Fury as well. 6. Alright, I usually like to make a macro for Closed Wounds as well, put it on F1. I have healing my bandages on 1, and then F1 for Closed Wounds. So I'm assuming you're a complete beginner or haven't played in so long that you've forgotten everything. But to start combat, you can press Tab, and that puts you in war mode. And then you can double click something. You can also, remember, we can click and drag and get those health bars. I'm going to start trying to raise chivalry, consecrate my weapon, and start bandaging. Okay, another handy macro to make is Last Spell. I would recommend that for sure. I like Alt-M for magic, and just Last Spell. Now I'm trying to heal, so I can just do Alt-M to continue casting my heal spell. So, if you don't want to have to double-click things to attack them, a quick and easy attack macro I like to do. Okay, I'm going to use the tilde key, the back quote. Select nearest hostile, add a line, attack selected target. One thing you should know is once you make all these macros, you don't have to remake them for every character. You can copy the profile folder and just rename it to your new character's name. Okay, let's see if this works. So now, theoretically, yep, it worked, and now they're coming. So that has the same effect as if I had double-clicked on them. Okay, now let's discuss some simple features on Razor Enhanced. Since I already have several characters, it's using an old profile. I want to make a new profile for this character. I'm going to name it my character's name, Trillium the Red. Add. And so now, so this is more like what you probably saw when you logged in. It might have been dark. I should have covered this at the beginning. Anyway, if you check the light levels, that will make everything brighter. If you want to, you might want to role play and not have that. Make it where your character has to have night vision or has to have a torch. I'm going to link this to this character, so make sure you do that. Create a profile, name it your character name, link it to that character. I'm not going to cover a lot of the more in-depth advanced things right now because there's other tutorials for that, but something I do like to do is auto loot. I already have a list here for my previous characters, but I'm going to try to make a new list so that you can see how to do it. So let's just add a gems and gold, make a new list. And on this list, I'm going to set the bag as just my backpack. And then to keep it simple, I'm just going to have gold. I'm going to add item, gold. And now I've got gold under there. And now let's click enable auto loot. Now it should work to where when I kill something, if I stand on top of the body, it will automatically loot the gold. Let's test it out. And I like to add gems to that also because gems are so small and just clicking and dragging gems. Yep, it automatically looted it. If you want to have the alternative loot box also come up, also close health bar gump when mobile is dead. That should close leftover health bars like that. Grid loot, both. Now I've got this loot box as well. And it's handy because you can also set a loot bag. If I had a separate bag here, and what it would do is when you single click on items in here, or double click them down here, it would put it in that loot bag. But for now, I'm just gonna go with my backpack. All right, let's just work on getting most of these combat skills to 50. Hey, we got a much better upgrade on our shield. So, it's got a hit chance increase, 12%. Hit chance increase is a good skill for us to have. Also picked up a hit chance increase bracelet. Look at my skills here. Here's my hit chance increase. It's now 24. Back to the fight. Okay, you can see on our buff bar that we have accelerated skill gain in this area. It says healing, but it's for all the skills that we have under 50 that we have quests for. When I leave this area, that buff disappears and I get the message that it's no longer enhanced. So watch your buff bar and make sure you're within this accelerated skill gain area for your first 50 points. Got another quest completed. Now we have tactics and swords. Let's get healing to 50 and then go turn in some quests and get some more bandages and tithe some more points. When you're healing, you'll see your little healing buff come up. Don't click healing again until this goes away, otherwise you've just wasted a bandage. Okay, this guy, the Skeletal Knight with the shield, he's pretty tough. You might want to wait on him until you've gotten your skills up a little more. I kind of view him, though, as like the test of whether or not I'm ready to leave this area. If I can solo him, then I need to leave. So he's kind of like the final boss of Old Haven. And it looks like right now I'm having some troubles. This would be a good place to use the hide ability, so I'm going to go ahead and make a macro for hide and also a macro for close wound spell. Hide, use skill, hiding. And that way, as I run around, I'm just going to start trying to raise the hide skill. And also, you can macro that later. Oh, I'm out of tithing points. I can't cast close wounds. It's not good. Okay, we got healing to 50, so let's stick to the original plan. Okay, before we head back to town, I'm going to show you a trick on getting a lot of free bandages. I'm going to open up our map. There's a highly customizable map that comes with Classic UO. I don't like having the mobiles showing. If you go south of Old Haven, over here by some farms, you'll see a bunch of sheep. And if you use a bladed weapon on them, not attacking them, but double-click a bladed weapon like a dagger or a butcher knife or your sword, and target them, you'll get a pile of wool. Another handy macro to have is use last object. I want to use my sword again. Just last object, apply. So now if I use my sword on a sheep, the next time I want to use it, I can just do Alt-A. See, that brought up my targeting again. I'm going to find 10 piles of wool. Avoid these bandits for now. They're a little tougher than those guys in Old Haven. Continue finding sheep and running from brigands. No! Okay, I have 10 piles of wool. Let's go back to town. If you're holding right click and you left click, it'll auto run for you, so you can take your hand off the mouse. So now we're back in New Haven. Something I forgot to mention before. If you're a brand new player and you have a new player ticket in your inventory, if you're a human or an elf, you can turn it into Dasha, Captain of the Guards, and she will give you a full set of armor for a new player ticket. If you're a gargoyle, then this gargoyle over here will give you a full set of gargoyle armor. Let's make bandages. So I'm going to go to the tailor. I'm going to use the spinning wheel to spin all that wool. Another handy macro to make here is we've already made our last object macro, so you could use that. You could wait till you get the balls of yarn and then do that. But what I like is another separate macro for last object, last target. Last ob, last tar. Alt-Z on that. So same as before, I'm going to go last object. Now I'm going to go wait for target to give the game a second. And then last object, last target. So now, if my last object was a pile of wool and my last target was a spinning wheel, let's test it. After this, I should be able to press Alt-Z and it should spin it again. Yep, it's working. The little wheel is spinning. Let's do that till all of our wool is gone. And now, if 5 balls of yarn make a bolt of cloth, that's a lot of bandages. Same thing. This is a little buggy. You gotta find the right place. There it is. Once you find the right place, you can just use that last object, last target macro and turn all that yarn into bolts of cloth. There we go. I now have 6 bolts of cloth. So, scissors. And again. And now I have 300 clean bandages. So, from our fights, we now have 1,731 gold. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the bank and tithe it. Remember, you have to have money in the bank to tithe it. So let's turn in some quests too. I can turn in my swordsmanship quest. I've got 59. Tactics is over 50. Healing is over 50. Anatomy is over 50. So we can turn in those things and get some good gear. Like I said, if you have the new player ticket, you can get a pretty decent set of armor from these guys. And this gear probably won't be as good as that, I'm not sure. But for this character, I'm going to use them. What did I just get? Sword. Jockel's Quick Sword. It's much better. And it's blessed, which means that you won't lose it when you die. Let's tithe that gold. Let's turn in focus. We're already 100 focus. It raises very quickly and easily. It's your regen skill. And healing and anatomy. I got some gloves from that one. and a new tunic from that one. And these quest rewards I just got are all blessed. So I got a blessed tunic and a blessed sword. So I've turned in all of my quests except for, looks like Parry and Chivalry are the only ones I need to get to 50. So I'm going to go back to Old Haven and get those to 50 before we move on. But I think this would be a good time maybe to discuss what happens when you die. Again, this is a new player guide for complete beginners who may not even have ever played the game before, because amazingly, there are people like that. They're interested in, you know, where it all began. Like, this is one of the first MMOs, and so there's a lot of people who want to try it out. And then, of course, there's the nostalgia junkies like me who love old games. I love these old games. I love this little character running around in this little world. It just makes me happy. Okay, so what happens when you get in over your head and you die? Let's cover that. When you die, everything that's not blessed or insured will be on your body, and you'll have to come back for it. But if your body is ever in a place where you can't get to it, there are corpse summoners. Okay, we're dead. So now I have this option box that comes up. I can go to the corpse summoner. I always just click here to walk amongst the dead. So obviously you can't loot when you're dead. You can't talk to other people when you're dead. Unless they have spirit speaking, then they can understand you. You see this flashing red arrow? I believe that's taking me to the closest shrine or priest that can resurrect me. So it looks like it's a priest of Mondain, and he can resurrect me. So now I'm alive again, but I'm like very low health. So let's just go back to our body. There's my body. Let's double click it. There we go. It's like it never even happened. Let's heal up. Okay, now I'm going to stay here until I get this to 50, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, here comes that knight again. Let's see if we can take him. We have a little bit better armor. Our skills are a little higher. Let's do this. Just constantly keep healing running. As soon as you take any damage, hit that self-heal macro. We're going to use all the tools. I'm low on mana, which is not ideal. Let's back off and heal a little bit. Use everything we've learned. Divine Fury. Hey, I did it. It was a tough fight. It was iffy, but we did it, and that is the test. Once you beat that guy, I think you're ready to move on. Let's go ahead and get Chivalry to 50, and then move on. Alright, we've reached 50 in Chivalry, so that's 50 in all our skills. So let's go turn in Chivalry and Parry. And for that, we got some leggings and Parry. Which gives me a good shield. Gives me a little more defense and a little more reflect physical damage at the cost of hit chance increase. I think I might want hit chance increase more. So, I think this is a good stopping place for part 1, and in part 2, I will discuss the UO Alive server exclusive new player dungeon. And also we can talk about gear and how to start saving up for a house and a vendor. So, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!